everybody, Megan here, the faithful fibromyalgia warrior. And I really hope and pray that you guys are doing well, or that perhaps you are heading towards doing well. I know that not every day is sunshine and roses and joy, but I have found in my life that is more often than it is not. So I have more joy these days than I have in the past. And it is a combination of things. Yes, some of that involves taking medication. Some of that involves absolutely a revived and revitalized prayer time and walk with God. And also a key part of that is I had to change eating a standard Western diet, removing the things that were harming me, that were causing my body toxic results and toxicity, and getting those out of my system. So I don't know, Saturday musings. Normally, by the way, you would be hearing in the background the sounds of my dogs making noise, but they are actually with friends. This coming week on March the 7th, Wednesday, my husband and I are going to be going to Portugal to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary. And I believe once you reach 25 years of marriage, I believe it's the silver anniversary. Don't know exactly, why they say that that's silver, but apparently maybe it's like you do 50 years, I think is a golden anniversary, 25 is silver, and then whatever else. I think the first year is something like paper or wood. So I guess if we are hoping to earn an award like a medal, then we get the silver. But and all joking, my incredible, wonderful husband is whisking me away to Porto in Portugal. Neither of us have ever been to Portugal, somewhere we've always wanted to go. So we'll be gone for 6 days in total, and it's going to be so amazing. We dropped our dogs off with very good friends of ours yesterday, because my husband is actually in Nottingham this weekend with a good friend of his, and then we leave very early on Monday morning. Our flight is at 6:15, so didn't want to have to deal with dropping the dogs off, etc. And then of course it'll just be he and I, and our older son will be here, but he's able to look after himself. But we're going to get those days together, so I'm very excited about that. But even if that wasn't the case, even if we weren't going away on a holiday, just to think about how the fact we've made it through life for 25 years, and some of them were really great years, and some of them were really terrible years. We had a lot of stress in our relationship. Neither one of us, at one point, neither of us was walking closely with God. We were not basing our relationship on Him, which caused, of course, stress. Raising two boys who are now adults. A lot of stuff going on. And I was dealing with my own issues personally. A lifetime's worth of bulimia, 35 years basically. I struggled with bulimia from the time I was 13 until the time I was about 48, which is when I was carnivore 2.5 years ago. And up until then, it didn't matter if I was praying and trying to walk with God or not. These were issues at the time, I never felt like I could deal with. And so I didn't. And so therefore, they were still in my life and in my mind. And I have struggled with significant anxiety ever since I was a kid, really. But it wasn't until um, 2012 when I finally realized I needed to talk to somebody about my bulimia and my anxiety, and I was diagnosed with generalized moderate to severe anxiety and moderate depression. But the interesting thing is that that was it. I got the diagnosis and I didn't do anything else with it. I did not actually ask for medication to help with that until 2015. Um, in December of 2015 is when I was told I had fibromyalgia following a back injury the year before. And at that time, I was under so much, I felt so much stress and anxiety. I knew I had to stop working because I simply couldn't do it anymore. It was too much for my back. It was too much for my wrists. My arthritis had flared up. Um, Keeping in mind, I was in my mid 40s. And so I thought, arthritis at this age, it's crazy. How can I possibly be having all of that right now? It just didn't make any sense to me. And the thing I found so incredible and so amazing is that even though I started to take sertraline in 2015, and within a month, he had to the GP had to ramp me up from 50 milligrams to 200 milligrams because nothing else was helping. Sorry, I think my hubby might be, yes. Um, so it was they did it for a couple of reasons. He thought that sertraline might help with the some of the fibromyalgia pain because it was supposed to help with anxiety and depression, but it was also apparently supposed to help control some of the signals that my brain was sending out to tell my body that I had pain when there was no injury there, right? Which if you don't know, if you're somebody who doesn't suffer with fibromyalgia and maybe you have a loved one who does and you don't quite know what it is or how it works, from what I understand, it's considered to be by some an autoimmune condition that affects your central nervous system. And for some reason, what it means is that your brain is sending out signals to different points in your body. So commonly like the back of the neck and the upper shoulders, the whole lower back area, front of the thighs, sides like your hips, groin area, around the knees, sometimes even the feet will have pain there along your legs as well. And what it means is for some reason, your brain is sending out a signal to your body that there's an injury. I'm going to send repair cells there. And it's going to send out a signal that, oh, pain. You must feel pain because there's been an injury, even if there isn't, or even if it's a really small injury. Like I could, whack my finger on the desk. Okay. But like say by accident. And to me, it might feel as if I had just slammed my finger in a door, whereas anybody else, it would be like a light bumping. Okay. So people who have fibromyalgia, we are often hypersensitive to injury and pain. And we may have old injuries that have healed, but for whatever reason, our brain is still sending out signals of pain and trying to get our body to repair itself, but there's nothing there for it to repair. Okay, that's the best way I can think of to describe it. So some doctors would call it an autoimmune condition because it's the body is essentially attacking itself. It's telling itself there is pain here when there shouldn't be, or this hurts really, really badly. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, I feel like this is a 20. but for anyone else, it would be a 5. And fibro, I believe it's from Latin, meaning soft tissues, and myalgia just means widespread pain. Right. So that flared up for me at its worst when I hurt my back in 2014. Now, my back may actually be mostly healed, as far as the disc that bulged out, but it still is out just enough that it is causing irritation of the spinal nerve, and my sacroiliac joint is chronically inflamed and irritated because of how my hips got misaligned when my back went out, because of how I spent over 6 years hunching down, kind of curl into myself, to sort of see if I could relieve the pain that way. Which is how, that's intuitive. When we get hurt, we kind of tuck up, right? Because we want to see if we can ease the pain away. In fact, what I've come to see is that the opposite should have been what happened, but I didn't know that at the time. And so now every day I make a point of sitting up as straight as possible for as long as possible, because those muscles in my neck, in my shoulders, in my lower back, they haven't been stretched in a really, really long time. They haven't been. And so they need that. But before I could get to this point, I had to go through a whole lot of other things. And if you've heard my story before, I don't mean to bore you. I'm sorry if you're new here. I just want to share with you guys where I came from to where I am now, because to me, it's God has been miraculous in helping me heal. He truly has. And, I want to say this before I start, that just because I need to take medication doesn't mean that eating animal meats and eggs is not helpful and doesn't work. Okay. Just because I eat animal meats and eggs to nourish my body and to help me be healthy and get all the nutrition I need doesn't mean I don't still have to take medication, or that it's not necessary. And also, just because I need to take medication does not mean I am not a faithful woman of God. When I first became a Christian back in 1993, of course, mental health and talking about it was still very taboo in general, never mind in, a Christian or faith community. And the church we were once a part of, which we are not part of any longer for other reasons as well, but they firmly believed that all you had to do was pray or speak to a Christian counselor if you had any kind of mental health issues. They did not accept easily that, well, what if you're bipolar? What if you have ADHD? What if, you struggle with severe anxiety and depression? And yes, I understand that when we trust in God, when we surrender and put our faith in God, that can help alleviate that. But, however, that doesn't mean there can't be a place for medication as well. I needed both. Actually, I needed all three things. I think of my life as like a three-legged stool: faith, food, and pharmaceuticals. Okay. And all of those things had to go together for me to heal. And that's absolutely perfectly okay. If you are a believer in God, if you are a faithful person, if you're a Christian and you are struggling, it's okay if you need to take antidepressants. That does not in any way make you less of a Christian. That does not in any way take away from your faith. In fact, I think it takes great courage to say, look, I'm trying to be faithful. I'm trying to walk with God. I don't know why this feeling won't go away. Perhaps I need to take something. Because some of us, we may just simply have been created where our chemicals are such that maybe we don't just make enough serotonin. Maybe we're not getting quite enough dopamine. And you know what? It's easy to say, well, just get out and exercise. But if you struggle with depression and you feel like you can hardly get out of bed, I'm not going to tell you, oh, just go outdoors. That's ridiculous. That's not helpful. I certainly didn't feel like that when I was, carrying 80 pounds of extra weight. So we're talking almost, 40 kilos on top of my frame when I was bloated and inflamed and in so much painful agony that I didn't even feel like I barely felt like I wanted to get up and even shower and get dressed for the day. That's how I felt. That's where I was at. That's where I was at with massive brain fog and depression. And like I was trapped in this crazy horror movie, but I was the zombie wandering through my life, not recalling anything, not caring about anything, wanting to, knowing somewhere in the back of my mind. And I mean, that was the spirit just hanging in there saying, don't forget God. God's going to work it out. It's going to happen. And you know what? It finally did. But not until I reached that point and until I was ready. And so when I say these are the things I've done, truly, I speak only from what I've done in my own experience. I'm not a physician. I'm not a nurse, a doctor, a nurse practitioner. I'm nothing of those things. Okay. I'm not a certified counselor. I just wanted to share what has helped me because I know sometimes it can feel like, well, nobody understands, or I can't tell anybody else at church that I struggle like this. I mean, I should be joyful all the time because Jesus died for me. Yes, of course we should. However, depression is often a result of chemical imbalances. And while I would suggest that eating a very carnivorous way of eating would be beneficial to everybody, not everybody is ready to take that step. That's fine. I would simply say that the more things you eat that are processed, though, the more you're going to find you get inflammation. You have brain fog, not just because of fibromyalgia, but you have brain fog. You can have mood swings and disorders. There's so many stories of people out on YouTube, for example, who themselves have reversed mood disorders, ADHD symptoms, even bipolar symptoms. How? Perhaps by starting with prescribed medications, but then also switching their diets. And some have even come off those medications. And, Rebecca Heichman at Tailored Keto Health is an incredible example of somebody who has done this. And I truly recommend that you watch her videos. Please check out her book. It's on Kindle as an ebook. You can buy a hard copy. She's absolutely amazing. What a faithful, incredible young woman of God who has desperately overcome these horrible things she dealt with. She herself also was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. She was taking CBD oils and gabapentin and whatever other painkillers were available to her in the States to try to manage her pain. So I know she's lived with crippling pain before. Professor Bart Kay, he himself has almost fully reversed his fibromyalgia, and he too was bedridden for quite a time. I was at that point 3 years ago. And you know what? There's somewhere in my playlist is a video I have called Just Because We Don't Complain Doesn't Mean We're Not in Pain. And that's the thing. Those of us with fibromyalgia, we could be in the worst horrific pain, but you wouldn't necessarily know that to look at us. Oh, here comes
do it now.
in about 10 minutes, okay?
All right.
That's my son Aiden, my pride and joy, my oldest grown-up son, my other son, who's also my pride and joy. Oh, and if you ever watch this, I love you too. He lives in Canada now. Uh, but the thing is I was there too. And sometimes I forget that I was there. Sometimes I forget that I was there at one point, but I was. And you know what? It is so amazing to be on this side of things now. And if you had told me 3 years ago that I would be able to lose 80 pounds of fat and water weight, I would say, you're crazy, forget it. Without exercising. If you would say that I would reach a point where I would be able to stand up to shower every single day for the past 10 days without extra pain, without any extra pain, I would say it'll never happen. I never believed that I would even be able to get around my own house without a crutch. Now, am I ready to go running, the 5-minute journey it is into our town center, into our city center here in Colchester on foot? Not yet. Still need the wheelchair for that. However, I believe that a day will come where I can walk a little bit more. I don't know when. That's under God's timing and his plan. He is the great healer. Meat is the medicine. When I cut out all the plants and all the carbs and all the crap from my diet, processed, whole or otherwise, that includes cereals, grains, legumes, beans, all the nuts, anything that's a plant other than coffee, out of my life. And when I did that and I switched to eating animal meat, so fatty ground beef with bacon, a fried egg, that's my usual meal. Tonight, my son and I are going to be ordering kebabs. I always get just the lamb meat and he gets a wrap. And it's amazing. It's delicious, fatty, satiating, and unbelievable. So delicious. And I feel so full and I feel like I've gotten everything I need. And it's not like it happened instantly. My first 2 weeks of trying to change my diet back in June of 2020, as I've shared before, but my husband and I were trying a paleo approach to reverse Hashimoto's because it worked for his sister. She lost all sorts of weight. I had just been told I had hypothyroidism. I thought it would help me. So for 2 weeks, we had to have no sugar, no dairy, no soy, and I can't remember what the fourth one was. Oh, gluten, which is fine because I'm not supposed to have any of that stuff anyhow because of my IBS, my sensitivities. And it was hard and it sucked. And I had withdrawal symptoms from the dairy and the sugar. But I didn't lose any weight. It was all about dark leafy greens and certain types of nuts. And that just was horrific for me. I found keto and I started to follow that. And within 2 weeks, I was already down 15 pounds. Mostly water, but hey, I didn't care. And then I found I wanted less and less plants and I wanted less and less carbs other than maybe some cream in my coffee or like a cappuccino. And at some point, I even cut back on that. And next thing I know, within 6 months, I'm down 80 pounds, 40 kilos, people. Holy Moses. I didn't think it would ever be possible. I didn't. I had no idea that it would even be possible. I did not exercise once, not once at all, because I couldn't. But as I got to be about 40 pounds down, so maybe a couple months in, I noticed that my pain had started to diminish, that I didn't feel quite as inflamed. I didn't feel quite as swollen. And as I carried on following this carnivore way of eating, the brain fog, I realized, had finally started to lift. And all those months previous, and even the years previous, where I had been longing for a relationship with God, I suddenly realized it was in my grasp. It was so close, I could almost taste it and touch it. And, a friend of mine from church said, so she put it this way, and I like how she put this. So basically, the Holy Spirit led me to find keto, which then led me to find God once again. And it's so true. And it is a circle. And that's why I say my life is like, it's like a three-legged stool. And if you remove one of those legs, the stool can't balance. It tips over, it topples apart. And those three legs are faith, the food, and pharmaceuticals. I still take my pain pills. I still take, my gabapentin, my cocodamol, which is like Tylenol with codeine. I still take my thyroid hormone replacement medication. I still take a statin. Now, I'm hoping to get in with my GP in the next couple of months and just say, hey, what do you think about maybe cutting out the statin at night? I don't know that I necessarily need it. My triglycerides are well within range, at the low end, instead of like twice what they should have been. So the acceptable range is between 0.3 and 2.3 millimoles per liter, and I was at 4.37 in 2019. Yeah. Now I am at 1.85 millimoles per liter, well within the range. My thyroid hormone levels are actually within normal range as well. And my metabolism is improving. My digestive issues are almost gone. My IBS is almost completely symptom free. So as long as I don't eat anything I shouldn't, like spices or garlic, that type of stuff, I'm fine. When I eat just meat and egg, I feel amazing. I feel fantastic. And my joint pain is minimal. My neck pain, minimal. It's not fully gone. I would say it is 95% better. I never thought could ever happen. My relationship with God is 195% better. And of course, as a Christian, I want it to get better every day. And he wants that. He wants that relationship to be better every day. So will it ever reach a final destination of perfection? No, not until the day I get called home to heaven. But until then, I can't believe the joy I feel. I still have moments where I feel kind of, I don't know, in life, but I don't struggle with depression like I did. For years, I did try to walk with God and have faith. But I was eating garbage. I was putting processed crap in my body. I was adding inflammation to my brain, to my joints. My thoughts were not clear and focused. And so that was part of it. Poor food choices were one of the issues. And so for that, I never really had the kind of freeing, deep, personal, joy-filled, hope-filled relationship with God that I wanted. I'm not saying I never became a real Christian. I did, but my walk with God now is better than it has ever been because what I put in my body gives me a sharp and clear understanding of life and just everything. My mind is clear. When I first started carnivore, okay, and I tried to share all the science and all the facts and all the reasons why it was so great with my husband, with my sons. And of course, they were like, yeah, we don't want to know. Fine, fair enough. I stopped preaching about the carnivore diet. And I just shared my joy at being renewed in my faith, reconnected to God, getting my physical health back. And little by little, I stopped bringing it up. I didn't need to. They knew I only ate meats and eggs. That's it. And coffee. Well, you drink coffee. You don't eat coffee. But anyways, they stopped trying to convince me to have a bit of cookie. Why don't you try this bit of cake? They don't ask. They know. They know I say no, right? But my husband said to me just last week, you know what, babe? I want to get healthier. I'm going to do what you do. And you know what? It's so great because he'll call me. He doesn't have to. He'll call me if he's out on the road, say, "Hey, just to let you know, I stopped for a snack, but I got some little chicken bites, and I had maybe a wrap with some meat in it or turkey in it, whatever. Much healthier choices. He's not trying to go zero carb, but he's going extremely low carb, and I have no doubt it is going to make a huge difference to really help him manage his type 2 diabetes. In fact, I bet he reverses it. Why not? Right? Um, and so he's given up sugar. I didn't tell him to. I didn't. I don't judge. I don't get a say in what he eats, just like nobody else gets a say in what I eat. Right? God gives everybody free will. We all have free will to choose to love him and follow him or not. I mean, there are consequences, right? But it's our for us to decide. And same with what we put in our bodies. And I just realized, you know what? I've got the Holy Spirit in me guiding my life when I choose to listen. And I really am trying to listen to it a lot more. Um, but I want to honor that fact and treat my body as a temple. And I used to say, well, I can't exercise. What's changing my diet gonna do? Nothing. And that was because I was restricting. I wasn't nourishing my body. I was punishing my body. And God made our bodies really, 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 really perfectly and intelligently. Our bodies can sense if it doesn't get enough fat and protein, it will hang on to whatever body fat is there. It will go after, our bodies will consume its own protein, its own muscles and fat to nourish itself if we don't provide that. And I don't want that to happen, right? But I just feel so excited by whatever life has to offer. When people ask me, how am I doing? I'm doing amazing. Not because my life is like totally perfect. I feel great. I honestly and truly feel fantastic. Even when I have kind of sad moments here and there, they don't last long because I'm reminded of how much God has blessed me with, yes, with my salvation, of course, with my improved health and quality of life, absolutely. And just to know that I am so looked after. I am so grateful for so many things. It helps me in that regard. But I also know that God created the doctors who invented these medications, and they can be helpful when they're used for the right thing. And so there's no shame. I just want to put that out there. There should be no shame if somebody who is a Christian says, you know what? I know I've been saved. I know God is amazing, but I'm still struggling with feeling depressed or with severe anxiety. That becomes a chemical issue in the brain. And if there are medications that can help, then let's make sure we don't judge people because they need to take something. If it helps them, that's fantastic. Again, God created the people who invented these medications. Therefore, there's nothing wrong if you need to take them. And if they help, amazing. I do think for many of us, if not all of us, that life is like a three-legged stool. And we need not only faith in God, we need not only the right food in our bodies. And I personally believe that should be mainly like 95% of it should be animal meats and eggs, and maybe some plants on the side here and there, if you tolerate them, right? Within reason. But ultimately it should be, primarily meats and egg. And that can be from fish, birds, four-legged creatures, whatever you prefer. I prefer beef. And yeah, hand me the wallet and I'll order it. I'm going to be ordering us some kebabs here in just a minute. We're going to have dinner. We're going to have dinner out because my wonderful husband is away with his friend overnight. So Aiden and I are going to be having some takeaway because that's what we do here on a Saturday evening. So faith, food, and pharmaceuticals if you need them. And that's where I'm at. Anyways, guys, I'm so thankful all of you who stopped by to check things out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be back live in a week when I'm back from my holiday. And I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
All right, so what do we want to